Good evening and welcome to GT3 Season 2, Round 5. Of course, as always, live and exclusive on the iRacing UK Twitch channel. Brought to you via iRacing, the world's premier motorsport simulation. Who are iRacing UK? Well, we are in a community of enthusiastic and inclusive group of racers from across the UK who like to run social races, practice sessions, leagues, but most importantly, share our experiences and our passion for sim racing. I'm Tim Cox, and tonight, as per usual, I'm joined by the absolutely delightful Nick Allen. Tonight, the story of GT3 reaches its penultimate round as we head to the Southern Hemisphere, and in particular, the sunny city of Sao Paulo in Brazil, to a track that is loved by drivers and fans alike. In its course, the epic Interlagos. As always, we'll be taking your questions throughout the broadcast, so feel free to drop your messages into the chat. We love to hear from everyone who's watching, so post now who you're going to be cheering on and who you think is going to be victorious tonight in the AM and rookie classes. Nick, everyone is talking about how close it is at the top of the AM Championship as we enter the final round of the season. Who's your favourite to take the championship?
Hello, Timothy, and good evening, viewers on Twitch. So I have to say, the rookies is an easy one for me. It's got to be the one and only Rob Sanford, who we've seen put in some premium performances, even when under extreme pressure. This has allowed him to step ahead in the points, and I'm sure we can expect similar performances from him in the last couple of rounds, especially given that we've got most of the Sanford clan supporting on the comments over on the Twitch stream right now. So really good to see Mrs. Sanford in there, bigging up Rob for this race. The AMs, however, Tim, I can't really call it, to be honest. It's so close at the top between the likes of Hitchin, Green and Wynn, all within about 10 points really of each other, which at this stage of the league is an incredibly small window. So I think most people would put their money on Mr. Hitchin, given the strength of that kind of that name within the IR UK community. However, I'm going to go with Colin Wynn. So I've seen how fast that man can get a radical round of circuit in our Monday night practices. And he's been incredibly competitive all season, really, in the GT3s. So join me as I say, why not Win for the win?
Brilliant, brilliant. I can see from the chat we've got Mrs. Sanford and Georgie Sanford already in, supporting Rob Sanford. As you say, we've seen some absolutely biblical performances from Rob Sanford this season. And I think, he's definitely going to be favoured for the rookies. Obviously, where you were saying about the Hitchin name, of course, Season 1 was run by his brother, Jonathan Hitchin. And Chris is definitely pulling away. He's ahead slightly at the top of the championship in the AM category at the moment. Just a 2-point lead over Lee Green. And he's then got a 5-point lead over Josh Wilson in third. So 7 points, just separating the top 3 drivers with only 2 rounds left. Obviously, if you include tonight. Now, looking across the track, Nick, we obviously take our minds back to Monza, where obviously we had a chicane at the first corner. Obviously, Interlagos starts out with a chicane as well. Let's watch 2 drivers just go for a little bit of a spin there. I see on camera. Obviously, across the start-finish line, you have to cut across the pit lane entry for that optimum racing line. And I think it could maybe cause 1 or 2 potential issues. Hopefully it doesn't for the drivers and doesn't bring the curse of the commentator on them. Where else can we expect to see overtaking and action tonight?
Well, there's a few places, Tim. To be honest, I think you're going to be looking mainly at the Senna S's. So obviously the run down the pit straight, as you said, it's very, very long, and they're going to have great slipstream behind one another as they head down into the Senna S's. We see Steve Oldham there just going a little bit off track onto the main straight. So they're going to have a great run down there, and then they're also going to have the Retta Aposta as a great little overtaking spot, possibly if they can get a good run out of the second set of turns at the end of sector 1. So the main thing as well for these guys is going to be to try and hold it together nice and tight and nice and carefully through the bends of Interlagos, because what they're going to want to try and do is keep nice and tight through that final sector so that they can be incredibly close to the back of their opponents for that run up the pit straight. And then hopefully then, as we said, we'll see those overtakes in the run down to the Senna S's. So that should be fantastic. We're going to go, I think, over to Colin Wynn now, Tim, and he's actually going to take us. He's actually slowed down. Looks like he's going to park it. Well, these guys are going to want to maximize the runoff at Junkow as well. That's another place where they're going to be able to carry a lot of speed. We're over here with Carrick now,
Nick,
Tim.
Go on then, do you want to run us through the lap, Nick, of the my favourite, Interlagos, as we come across the start-finish line now?
Absolutely. So as we go, obviously, through the Senna S's here, this is where we said there'll be a chance for overtaking. Keep it nice and tight on the inside. We're going to try and open this up as much as we can so we can get over to the left and then try a little bit slow there on the exit of the Senna S's. And then here we go on the run down to the Retta Aposta. So this is one of those opportunities that people may have to chase down their opponents. We see him just slipping past one of the other cars there, and we come into some very interesting turns here. Sino de Largo, two very wide open corners here, both left. You want to make as much use of that curve on the inside as possible there as you hear it down now towards Ferradura, which is the right hander. We're now going to go into the section of tight turns here, so 7, 8 and 9. These are going to be right and right again. This is slightly tighter than the second turn we just had before we go back into the double left-hander of what is the horseshoe, as we then head back up the hill towards the right-hander of Bico de Pato. That is the top of this corner, nice and tight around Bico de Pato, making as much use of the track as possible. We're back over to the right to open up the left-hander here, which is Junkow. Use that runoff area as much as you can without getting an off track, and then this is going to be a straight up drag race up the hill now, just chasing your opponents back up to the pit straight, hoping to try and then make those important overtakes into obviously the Senna S's. This is the point where we said they're going to have to be careful here, because they're going to cut a lot of this pit lane as they try and make the most of the track here. Let's hope that doesn't end up being obviously a point of incident for our drivers this evening.
So just brilliant, thanks for that there, Nick. And just cutting across the track, I see the Sanfords are out in force. We've got Faye, Jay, Nat and Georgie all supporting Rob, who ironically in the qualifying earlier, and got 7 minutes of the warm-up roughly left to go. So he managed to get his car second overall in the standings, and obviously pole within the rookie class. Absolutely brilliant performance from him. And just having a bit of a look through the chats, there were a couple of others. Who have we got? Stuart B24 saying, "Good luck, guys." There was another one as well. Who was supporting Steve Olden. I'm just trying to find the comment, but it's disappeared. Whoever that was. I know Steve's got a bit of support, and obviously a lot of people like his Lucky Steve livery on that Mercedes.
Well, if you remember, it's the unlucky Steve, isn't it? It says on the back. It's
wow, yeah.
on the rear bumper of that Mercedes.
Now, Nick, let's talk about Amazon Prime and Twitch. So now, obviously, if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, then you get a free Twitch Prime subscription. Now, our community is run by volunteers who not only put in a lot of time, but also their own money to keep the community free. We'd be really appreciated if you could use your free subscription to subscribe to our channel to help bring more of this great quality content and to help keep our community for free. Now, a bit of recent news from within the community. Obviously, last night was the latest round of the Community League. Now, we had it was based on the Michelin Pilot Sport Challenge, which is obviously GT4s and TCRs. So the winners of that, who qualified for the Race of Champion, well, the winners and the runners-up were Cam Brown and Josh Wilson. Josh, who you'll see driving tonight in the AM categories, finished winner and runner respectively in GT4. And then El Neal and Rob Sanford. Obviously, Rob, we've mentioned quite heavily already in his Audi tonight, who came winner and runner-up respectively within the TCR category. So they've put their place obviously in June for the Race of Champions alongside the previous Community League race winners and runners-up. Now, the Community League is free to enter and open to entrance for the coming rounds. Also, talking of open for entries, is the Porsche Cup Challenge League, which starts on the 6th of June. All the races for that will be shown here live and exclusive on the iRacing UK Twitch channel. And also, if you'd like to join any of our other leagues, obviously won't be too far off GT3 Season 3. That'll be heading towards us soon. We're still taking entrance for that. And any of the other leagues we've got coming up as well, then you can head across to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/iRacingUK, and send us a message on there, and we can send you an invite to the Discord community. Or alternatively, you can also check us out on Instagram or Twitter by searching for Team IR UK. Now, how long have we got left to go? Just under 4.5 minutes
4
left
minutes
to go
now,
for the
yeah.
warm-up.
Well, you know what, Tim? I was having a little look at the stream from the last time we saw these guys out at Spa. So that was when you and Ian were performing some coverage when I had a much-deserved week off. Now, at Spa, they were in a dusky conditions. It was a little bit darker than usual. Not as dark as we had it for the Pro and the Pro-Am guys, but just a few notes that I had from that race. So some of the guys we need to look out for, obviously, this evening. So there was a high-speed incident, I don't know if you remember, at Blanchimont between Neil Smith and Steve Hughes. Neil Smith in the BMW. He was being chased down really hard by Steve Hughes in his Ferrari. And what seemed to happen was Neil Smith just dropped off on the throttle a little bit through Blanchimont, and Steve Hughes had so much pace behind him. They actually just had a very small coming together, which ended up with Neil Smith rotating a full 180 degrees, spinning backwards on the off track on the right hand side, allowing a few drivers past. So Steve was very gentlemanly and allowed Neil to obviously take the position back after causing that. And that was just one such incident that we saw there. The other person that we saw at Blanchimont going off was Anthony Franklin in his McLaren. Tim, do you remember this? He was trundling down that final straight, and then all of a sudden he went to the inside, didn't he? It wasn't the outside that he went off, it was the inside, and it actually looked like he'd had some kind of hardware failure possibly, which then sent him all the way across the track. So two big incidents that we saw in the later parts of the laps there. Obviously at the start of the lap you have Eau Rouge, so we had Dave Norman, who went off very early in the race. He had a bit of a crunch into the barrier, and then later on in the race, again at the same point, we had Clive Davis make a very similar error where he'd ended up very far over on the right hand side and into those barriers, which pretty much ended Clive's race. I think Dave had been just early enough in the race, he'd had his incident, which allowed him to get back out on the track and kind of continue on. Green and Luca were obviously the two to watch at the front. They were pulling out a hell of a lead at the front when they were heading up the Kemmel Straight, or as Ian described the Kemmel Straight as his favourite corner on the track. Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah. Yes. The only corner he doesn't go off of.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, I mean, for Interlagos, I imagine it's going to be really packed on that first run down in the center S's. You know, one of the places that we often see cars in the last round at Spa very close together was that chicane at the end, right? So that bus stop chicane, we saw cars bumper to bumper just trading paint as they tried to squeeze themselves through on the first lap, where everyone's obviously a bit more tightly packed. I think that's the kind of thing that we'll probably end up seeing here on the center S's, as we'd seen, I think, in the Formula 3, some of those guys that sprinted off at the start, and some of the really good, strong guys got caught up in the middle of that pack where they're going three wide down that set of left and right handers, and it just didn't work out. You can't fit that many cars in, especially when they're as big as some of these GT3 cars are compared to the open wheelers.
So one guy I think to watch out for is, he didn't mention, was Sean Joe. Drives Ferrari. It's grey and blue, and he had they came through the pack really well, was really, really strong at Spa. Then had a bit of a coming together at La Source turn 1 with David Lowson, and then Klein built his way back up, dropped to literally the back of the pack and brought his way back up again. It was absolutely brilliant drive from Sean Joe. Now, a bit of an apology to you, Nick, obviously, for last week. Obviously, for the Pro and the Pro-Am category, I know you were doing it by yourself. A few of the drivers who are also taking tonight, we were taking part in the Nürburgring 24-hour endurance race. I was one of them. I was driving in a team with one of our AM drivers, Murray Luca, who you'll see tonight in his Ferrari. And yeah, absolutely brilliant experience from all and performed really well. But yeah, sort of fell asleep on the sofa and woke up just before the broadcast, and then woke up past it. So apologies for that one, but I think it's
that's
just
okay. You're forgiven.
Oh, thank you, mate. Thank you. But I think one of the things to really bring home about just our community or different nationalities as well is that you're able to meet different people and be able to connect and find yourself teams to enter into these sorts of events, and the experience of them is just absolutely fantastic and well worth doing. So I implore you to, if you're not part of our community, to check us out on Facebook, like we mentioned earlier on iRacing UK, and get an invite and get into our group. And Nick, I see we've just got the grid popped up for the AMs. Do you want to? Well, I think we've got a slight technical issue because that doesn't look
I was just
100%.
going to say, Tim, you mentioned that moment where David Lowson and Sean Joe had a coming together at La Source. I was actually watching the stream back, and instead of Sean Joe, at that moment, instead of saying Sean Joe, you said Sean No. And that was your exclamation of complete terror at what was happening on the screen in front of you at that point in time. So, yeah, it was a bit dicey. I think we'd seen something very similar at Spa in the Pro and Pro-Am, hadn't we? I think with Charlie, Bearban, Bradley, Hulse, possibly. I think there was a bit of a dive, very similar into that corner, which we got to see. So, looks to me like everyone's getting ready to grid up now behind the pace car, Tim. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys setting off. We've got the rough order, obviously, on the timing screen there at the moment. We can see that we've got on the front row Josh Wilson and Cy Anthony, and we've also got David Lowson and Lee Green, Derry Truby, Chris Hitchy and Carrick Stonehouse, Rob Armstrong, Murray Luca, Colin Wynn, Steve Olden. That makes up your AM category drivers. Behind them in the rookies, there's going to be Rob Sanford, Neil Smith, Sean Joe, Ash Wheeler, Dan Smith, Ben Brody, Stephen Hughes and Franklin, Trevor Davis, Mark Cadmore and Clive Davis. Clive, obviously, we talked about already, had an accident in the last race. Tim, over to you for the start.
Thank you, Nick. So, drivers just setting off behind the pace car now, the Porsche 911. Interestingly, we'll maybe have a chance to talk to it later on. Obviously, in June, the Porsche 911 GT3 will be coming to the GT3 category, and it'd be interesting to see how many of our drivers pick that up. As you'll spot, quite a lot of them drive the Ferrari. That's obviously taken on from where you're able to enter into the Ferrari Challenge just after qualifying out of rookies. So that's why it's so heavily popular in the AM and rookie classes. So we just get ready. The packs, you'll spot that the sort of gap between the AMs and the rookies. You see there Rob Sanford and Neil Smith just coming round the last corner there. That's just where they split themselves up a little bit, give themselves a bit of breathing space, so the front guys from rookie aren't tripping up over the back guys of the AM category. And we get ready now. There we go. The safety car has pulled off. There we go. And we get ready as they reach the start line. Because in 1, 2, GT3 at Interlagos is go. And it's a great start by Cy Anthony. He's pulled well clear, but Josh Wilson, he's got Lee Green behind him. He's going to have to go defensive. But then they've got David Lowson coming up the inside of Lee Green, really mixing it up with him there. And so we've got Stonehouse just near the back there. And Steve Olden brings up the rear. However, Rob Sanford's made a great start in rookies. He's already 7/10 clear of Neil Smith and Cy Anthony already 1 second clear of Josh Wilson. Josh is going to have to we'll keep one eye on his wing mirrors there. He's got the whole pack right behind him.
Colin Wynn up 5 places, Tim.
Already, Nick, already. Absolutely brilliant start by Colin Wynn. And Dan Smith as well, another one who's picked up a few places off the start line. Great mention to him. So, they're already halfway round the lap as they enter into that's Pico de Pato. Just head round, sort of just gently on the accelerator, building up speed as they come up towards. Sorry, this is just coming up to Pico de Pato now. A little bit ahead of myself there. And Cy Anthony still out in front, and we're currently looking at Colin Wynn here as well. He's just managed to pull a bit of a gap over Chris Hitchin. He's in 6th place, but great outset off the corner there out of John Cow by Josh Wilson as they come round to complete the first lap. Josh Wilson managed to already pull a bit of a gap over Lee Green. It'll be interesting to see how much of this pit lane these guys use. You can see already tucking well into the pit lane as they now approach the center S's. Hard onto the brakes. Here we go. The guys are going to be too far back, but Josh Wilson goes slightly defensive into the center S there. That could compromise his exit. But here's Steve Alden. He's already made up 2 places. He started at the back of the pack, but he's managed to get that red and white Mercedes already ahead of Carrick Stonehouse and Gary Truby.
This has been fantastic so far, Tim. I think if I got to, I would absolutely love to see a replay of Colin's start, because I think he was very unhappy with his start position, his qualifying. I was speaking to him earlier, and he was, to see him gain that many places off the start, fantastic work from him. We're on board with Anthony Franklin right now. Just watching him go around a few of the points. We're going to go over to Lee Green though, because Lee Green under threat at the moment from
Something's happened to Josh Wilson. Josh Wilson's dropped right down the back. I'm not sure if it's timing screen. No, I think he has.
Yeah, I think he's
Something's happened to Josh Wilson. He's dropped all the way down to 16th place. Let's just take a look at what happened. Oh, he's just run wide. He's got it onto the grass. Hopefully he doesn't collect anyone. Oh, Colin Wynn. Wow, how did he miss him there? And Josh is then stuck on the infield, and he's got another Ferrari behind him. I think that's Gary Truby. You can see in the background there, joining him on the infield. And I did spot from the event list, Nick, that Ash Wheeler had a bit of an off earlier in the lap as well. So it looks like these drivers are going to have to make a bit of a recovery drive.
Hitchens done win there on the entry to the pit straight. Look at that. There's Chris Hitch. I did say, but Wynn's going inside, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it there. He's actually under threat from Armstrong there by the looks of it. Rob Armstrong and the Mercedes behind the 666 Mercedes, the satanic AMG. Chasing hard down behind Colin Wynn. That's a shame for Colin. He was looking really strong there. But look at Dave Lowerson in 3rd position at the minute. Someone we haven't seen him fighting for a podium position. That's not someone we've seen him yet. And I think we're probably going to go to a replay in a minute of Steve Hughes and Trevor Davis, who have crashed Tim.
Yes, they've had a bit of a coming together somewhere off camera. We'll see if we can come to that shortly. Here we go. I think this is Stephen Hughes. Let's have a bit of a look, see what happened here on the replay. Just run it onto the grass at the center S's. And he's
done it all on his own.
He has, yes. Slight tap. Doesn't look like he's picked up too much, if any, damage there. Got lucky with that one. Here we go. This is Trevor Davis. He's been squeezed. Tapped by Cadmore on the inside. I think there was a bit of a racing incident, that one, Nick. They were side by side coming into the center S's.
To be honest, to me, that looked like Trev got that little tap, obviously, as they were going down the straight, and it just was enough to put him off for his braking marker, which has then led him, obviously, get on the anchors a bit too late, and that's what's led him go onto the grass there and then put him in the wall. So just a shame, really. It's just one of those things where you get psyched out and, you lose your grip on the race, and it costs you a lot of time.
But look at David Lawson here in that Ghostbusters livery Ferrari. He's got Lee Green ahead of him, but Lawson normally features in round about the mid-pack, and he's always unlucky as well. And here he is up in 3rd place on the podium currently, and only half a second behind Lee Green, who's we've seen all season that Lee's incredibly strong.
Absolutely. I'm just going down to look at the timing sheets, actually, to look at what happened to Dave in the last races. So in the actual rookie Spa-Francorchamps, he was actually in P10 on the last race. So he's always a top 10 contender, if you ask me, Dave Lawson. And we see him obviously putting in a lot of effort, a lot of time. He's always in the GT3 chat, always putting in private practice times all the time. And there's Clive Davis going off.
So unlucky from Clive Davis there. Let's see if we can get a replay. And I think he might have just lost it just ran in too hot. Oh, he's tried to save it,
tank
and
slapper.
he tried to save it, and it's just over-corrected it there. That was down into Lego, and at the end of the Peta Opposite straight, and so unlucky there. But we're just currently looking at Carrick Stonehouse now. He's trying to pick his way back through the field. He's down in 12th place, down 6 places. He's got Sean Joe ahead of him, and Neil Smith and Rob Sanford. Yeah, he's got Dan Smith right behind him, and Ben Brody not too far behind him. So Dan Smith in the black and white BMW, and as they approach the center S's, I think Carrick's just got his Lamborghini safe for the moment, but Dan Smith's going to have he's so close now. He's within half a second, so he's going to pick up the draft as they head down Rita
Aposta.
Thank you. I've completely nearly lost my words there, Nick.
Dan Smith had the much tighter line, I think, much tidier line through the centre S's, and I think he's also close. He's much tighter on the inside there. He just seems to have the line a bit more refined than Carrick Stonehouse ahead of him does. So we've got a crash, I think, from Trevor Davis. We're going to go to in a minute on the replays. We just watched Steve Oldham here. We're actually we're going to go possibly to Ash Wheeler in a minute. Steve Oldham just under threat here at the moment. Here's Ash Wheeler on a replay. Just watch what he's done a lot of damage at the front of that Ferrari, hasn't he?
From that earlier incident, and again, it's same corner. It's proving really, really tricky for the drivers there at the moment, Nick. That's down at Lego. The head of, well, ironically, what is the back straight, but it is between turns 3 and 4, so it's not really. Oh, Trevor Davis there just losing it by
That's the
himself.
Replay of Trev losing it. So yeah.
But here we go. We've resumed back to the battle for second place. Lee Green and David Lowson. Hardly anything to separate these two guys.
They are incredibly close.
Biblical drive by David Lowson, really, really taking it to Lee Green. I know. For speaking to David, he's going to be absolutely loving every second of this, but equally praying that he can just hold it together and finish strong as well.
I think we're on the replay view at the minute still of this is obviously some footage from earlier, and there's Steve Oldham as we go live to Steve Oldham off the track. That's somewhere.
Look, Lauson's passed. He's passed ahead of Green. Absolutely brilliant move there somewhere off camera. We'll see if we can come back to that from David Lowson. Here we go. Down into the centre.
Look at that. That's a Carlos Sainz inside switch
came late
maneuver.
On the brakes. Got his elbows out there. Could see he got his proton pack out there and forced the move there, Nick.
Bit of door bumping. We don't mind a bit of door bumping. Nothing wrong with that. Dave Lowson absolutely sending it down the inside of the centre S is fantastic work from him. That puts him up to P2 now. He's going to be going on the chase now after Cy Anthony. Will he have the pace though? Now he's in that clean air ahead of Lee Green. Let's see what his times look like.
He's got 3.5 seconds to Cy Anthony ahead. Now just look at the timing sheets, Nick. He did a 33 dead. 1 minute 33 dead last time around. They're just about to cross the start-finish line. Let's have a little look, check in on his times. He's gone quicker again, a 32.9. It was about half a second slower than, so 4 tenths slower than Cy Anthony. But
his quickest is a 132.4, so he has got pace, but Cy Anthony's is the quickest is a 132 flat pretty much.
Hold on, Nick. Here comes Lee Green. He's got the slipstream on him. Can he get a move down onto the brakes? He's showing the front of the car, but no, he's decided against it there, and he's going to just ease off and just follow David. Davis ran wide a little bit there, though, Nick, and I think Lee Green just sitting behind him. But while these two have been battling, it's allowed Chris Hitchin to catch up in his BMW up and join in this battle. So what was a two-way fight is now a four-way fight, three-way fight.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that Chris Hitchin is always going to be hungry for places and hungry for points. We've seen him already getting past Colin Wynn earlier in this race. He didn't seem to put up too much of a fight, Colin, so maybe my earlier prediction of win for the win wasn't maybe the right one. But there's still 34 minutes of this race left, so we'll see what Hitchin has to offer here at the back of this fight, because obviously every moment that Lee Green Waste trying to get past Lawson. There's a moment that Hitchin is going to be able to gain on him, but it looks to me at the minute like Lawson just kind of quite comfortably maintaining that gap. He's got 7/10 at the moment. I don't think that's going to be enough for Lee Green to really get close to him. He might just have enough slipstream here to get a little bit closer into the center S's, but no, behind him, look, he's nowhere near at the minute, Tim.
No,
So Chris Hitchin's going to be the one that Lee Green needs to worry about. And Lawson, if you ask me, just needs to charge on. There's Wynn under attack from Armstrong into the S's. We've just obviously been watching the other guys at the front of the pack, and Wynn now under serious threat, Tim.
Wow, Rob Armstrong has really got that Mercedes GT right on the bumper of Wynn, but Murray Luca, he can't be discredited. He's just lurking behind, hopefully to pick up some scraps here. And Armstrong, surprisingly, coming out of the center S is so close, and having the drag down the whole straight, he's not been able to get the move done, which is surprising, but he's left himself open to attack now as Luca catches up.
That's the Mercedes for you.
And yeah, this is where the Ferraris have a more straight line speed compared to that Mercedes. Mercedes good out in the corner. Quite a tricky car to drive from what I understand, Nick. I've never driven it myself. I've just driven the Ferrari 458 and the Lamborghini Gallardo. And, no, sorry, Gallardo. Huracan.
The Merc has been mine and Dan Sad's,
sorry,
look at that.
Wide there, and this has given Armstrong the potential to be able to attack now. As they come up towards Juncal, they come onto the brakes, but I think he's managed. Oh no, where's the drag? Bob Armstrong run wide a bit here, but this is going to Murray Luca. It looks like Wynn's going to have lost 2 places in one corner, and that's it. Armstrong is through. I'm thinking the wrong Rob here, and that's Armstrong through and Luca through as well. Let's see if we should stick with this little battle for the moment and see if Luca can do anything into the center S's, or if Colin Wynn can try and mount a fight back at all. Just to keep you up to date with what's going on down in rookie class, Rob Sanford has, I think he's managed to get past Ben Brody for P11. Let's see, here we go. Let's check out what happened here. So Ben just running a bit wide, and that allowed Sanford through. But currently, your order within rookies is Neil Smith first, Sean Joe second in the Ferrari, and then Dan Smith in the BMW is in third, Rob Sanford fourth in his Audi, and then Ben Brody fifth in class with his Ferrari. We've come back to the battle between Luca and Wynn, and Armstrong's managed to pull out a bit of a gap here, Nick. He's managed to get clear, but it looks like Wynn and Luca, Wynn's all over the back of Luca here.
Wynn is, I mean, he's having every look on every part of Wynn that he can. Luca that he can here. He's left, right, and Wynn looking at Luca's wing, as Sean said. I think Sean's trying to trip me up there with the tongue twisters. But we're gonna have to go over to Lee Green, getting past Dave Lawson after that. Obviously, Dave having made that move earlier in the race, what was fantastic. But let's see, because Dave's still dead close behind. He could probably pull that same move that he tried into the S's before.
He's maybe a little bit too far back, and he's just going to have to get a good exit off the center S's, which looks like he's done the first part well, but Lee Green's pulled out maybe a little bit of a gap here over Lawson. Yeah, he's extended the gap, and he's got the better exit off it, and this is going to leave Lawson vulnerable to Chris Hitchin behind him in the BMW, and it looks like Lawson just running wide out of Juncal a little bit, which caused Green to have the better runoff. Obviously, they're both in exactly the same car, both in the Ferrari 458, and obviously 488, and similar on performance. And here's Josh Wilson. He's Ant Franklin ahead of him in his McLaren, and Wilson on a bit of a recovery drive now. And it's such a shame for him. He's one of the championship contenders, so he's got get a bit of a wriggle on here with half an hour to go. And it looks like he's going to send it. No, he's backed out of it a little bit there over Franklin.
Franklin, obviously the slower driver out of the two here. Wilson definitely got the pace, so maybe we'll go back to that in a minute. But Armstrong there, just obviously trying to eke out a bit of a gap ahead of the guys behind him. Murray Luca, your endurance pal there, still being closed in on by Mr. Lawson. Mr. Lawson just trying to hold that gap. Mr. Wynn in this battle. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up with the Ferraris on this on
We
this
have so
course at the
many of
moment.
them.
Yeah. Obviously, we said, didn't we? The obviously the strength of that fixed series has grown the popularity of the car a bit. But yeah, Colin Wynn, very strong here. He's got a good gap. I think he's going to be in a position to make a move here if he feels brave enough, but not quite. I think even an under braking move
Oh,
would have been.
Luca's taking a
Oh,
very
but
wide
oh,
entry.
they've
That's
got
contact.
contact.
We got
Oh,
contact.
that's a shame.
Luca took a very wide entry there, which did surprise me, and it just caused the car, the rear end, to rotate round and come round on him. We'll see if we can get a replay on that from Colin Wynn's angle. But here's Josh Wilson. He's on the attack down into the centre S's, but here we go.
I imagine for Colin, that's one of those moments where you see the guy starting to slow down and lose it in front of you, and you're already committed to the inside, and there's nothing you can do about it when they're already out of control and they turn in on you. So just a bit of a shame, really, for both guys.
It is. So it looks like Wilson's managed to get that move done on Ant Franklin there. That's going to put him in a bit of fresh air. Stephen Hughes is the next car on track. He is again a rookie class driver, so obviously that's not going to make any difference in terms of the championship. But Carrick Stonehouse is the next car ahead in class, in 13th position overall, 8th place in class. So Wilson's now going to chase him down. He's about 10 seconds ahead of Wilson. It'd be interesting to see whether Wilson can get anything done here. It's such a shame for him, Nick. He qualified so strongly and really needed the points tonight. And now we're seeing him down here in 9th in class. Oh, well, Nick, sorry to cut across you. I've just popped up on my screen. Rob Sanford's had an incident somewhere off camera. We'll see if we can bring that to you. He's had a crash somewhere. Let's see what happened. I'm not sure what part of the track that is from the camera
He's gone
angle.
too wide, I think.
Is that junk out? Yeah, and round the rear end goes. But that's not a crash, though.
It's just spun. It's just a spin. Just a spin. Yeah, just a loss of control event, isn't it? So, yeah,
that's okay. He's not going to carry any damage.
He's only got to pass by a couple of cars there. So I'm sure, knowing Rob, he'll be able to climb his way back up. No problems at all. Only one rookie that got past him, I think, Tim. As we go over to Ben Brody now, he's being chased by Carrick Stonehouse. Bit of a gap between them at the moment. Not really anything to write home about right now. I think what would be interesting is if we could go and have a little look at Mr. Lowson in a minute, because that gap is getting smaller and smaller.
It is.
And Lee Green ahead of him maybe had a little error, but I mean, Hitchin still being very patient behind. I would have expected Hitchin to have made a maneuver by now to try and get past these guys, but it looks like he's just biding his time. Obviously, we have got a pit stop to come. I think when we were at Spa, that pit stop came about the half an hour mark. The question is, can they fuel save through this section, Tim? I would imagine that the longer you're just following a similarly paced guy ahead of you, you will actually save a bit, and it will work to your advantage when it comes to the pit stops.
Yeah, you're going to, obviously, being in the draft, you're not burning as much fuel. And maybe this is Lowson's tactic, just to sit behind Lee Green. Obviously, it's easier to chase than it is to follow. They've got a back marker ahead. That's Trevor Davis in his white and blue BMW ahead of them. And Trevor's normally pretty good in terms of allowing traffic that's coming round to lap him to get ahead of him. Just worth a mention as well, these absolutely brilliant camera angles we're currently witnessing, brought to us courtesy of the guys over at trackcams22.com, who allow us to use the camera angles. And I think, isn't that one of the bad guys from Ghostbusters, Nick? I wonder if the guys in the chat can post in there as to who that guy is. I can't remember what his name is. If you can post in the character name, we'd really appreciate that.
Look at that, Trev just moving out the way there. He's getting to the outside to allow these guys through. That's Dave managing to get through there, and he's still chasing Lee. And look at that, he's really close. Chris Hitchin also managed to get his way through there. And I wonder at what point Chris Hitchin thinks it's going to be great to have a move here. It looks like he's actually got a little bit more of a gap there as Dave Lowson really on the back here. I wonder if Dave's going to be in a position to make a move like he did previously on Lee Green. He had the right-left switch on him. It was like Carlos Sainz making a move on, I think it was Checo Perez in one of the Interlagos races in 2019 possibly. But some great moves we're seeing here on the track from all of these guys. Now, there is most of the action at the moment is going to be happening at this front half of the grid where the gaps are the lowest. We will be kind of hanging on to see what's happening. We're going to go to a replay now of Mark Cadmore. What's happened to Mark here, Tim? It looks like he's just got on the inside and then...
Not the first curb. I think it's maybe the second one. No, he's okay so far. Now, he got passed by Ash and not too sure what happened there, but here we go. We're on board with Josh Wilson. He's got Stephen Hughes ahead of him.
Ooh.
Josh, that was incredibly close there. Really getting up to the back end where he's desperate to get clear of him. Obviously, these guys in different categories. Josh in the AM category, Hughes in the Pro-Am, in the rookie category, and Josh has got to really utilise this slipstream as they head down now to Lego. And
Josh is a second quicker a lap. Oh, look at that. Hughes has gone really wide there.
There we go. That's allowed Wilson through. That's cleared him. Now he's got his next target is Rob Sanford on track. He's within the AM class, but Carrick Stonehouse, he's around about 10 seconds at the road for Josh Wilson. Now, got Murray Luca here in his black and white Ferrari, 7th in class, 8th overall within the AM class. He's been joined for company behind him by Sean Joe in his Ferrari, that blue and grey white colour Ferrari behind him, and then we've got Dan Smith in his BMW, just as part of this 3-car train. Roughly about a second and a half covering these 3 cars. And we're just going to check in now with Lee Green. It's the battle for third of Green, Lowerson and Hitchin. It's getting ever closer, Nick. There's only around about 1.5 seconds covering these 3, but nobody seems to want to quite blink first and make the move.
No, you were just talking about Murray Luca. Oh, look, Dave Lawson just getting really close there. Look, have a little look around the outside. You were just talking about Murray Luca and obviously Sean Joe. I think they've actually swapped places now by the looks of it.
They have, yeah.
Sean Joe was quicker lap by lap looking at the times. So I think it's no surprise that obviously that damage that Murray had just lost in time to the point where Sean was able to capitalise on it. Now look at Dave Lawson's Ferrari flicking all over the place, isn't it? We saw that earlier in the Senna S's. I saw Dave's Ferrari twitching all over. This is like the hero drive of the season, if you ask me. Dave Lawson fighting for a podium position here, right up with the big boys, giving it some in that Ghostbusters Ferrari. We love to see it, especially with these fantastic angles given to us Track Cams 22 to use. Look at that from the back.
Now, Nick, just touching on Dave's helmet design. Apparently, the character name, according to the chat, there's a few people who have dropped it in. It's Vigo the Carpathian. There we go. There it is, and that's the guy's name. So thank you for that, chat. Really appreciate that. Chris Harris for putting in there. Obviously, Rob Sanford not currently running top, dropping in Mrs. Sanford, perhaps a cup of tonight and no champagne. And it's good to see we've got someone different at the front for the neutrals of rookies. But I think we've still got 20 minutes to go. I wouldn't discredit Rob Sanford in that Audi.
We should remind Miss Sanford that obviously it is a bank holiday tomorrow, so champagne's still acceptable on a Sunday night.
She said, just dropped in the comments there, I'm drinking Mr. Sanford's for him. There we go.
Good old girl. Go on then. Yeah, lovely job.
Now we've got Cy Anthony, Nick. We haven't mentioned him since I think the lights went green and we started off. He obviously started in pole position. He's 7.5 clear of Green, Laus and Hitch in the battle for second place. And he's just had a nice, quiet, flawless race so far.
The thing is, right, as the leader of a race, it goes one of two ways, doesn't it? It's either really boring and you just kind of maintaining a gap out the front and having a bit of a chill out on your own with not really much action going on, maybe a few back markers. Or the other side of it is you have a race where you're the front runner and you've got, a 3-way fight for the front, maybe just lap by lap overtakes on somewhere like Monza where you've got people leapfrogging each other, so this is a nice chilled out event
for
to
cut across you here,
Anthony.
Nick. We've got the battle for second place. Lawson just on the attack on green there, but he's lost. He was side by side, but he's lost out and he's lost a bit of time to him, and it's allowed Chris Hitchin. And to go on your phrase that you said about him a few weeks ago, is he going to be hungry Hitchin? And is he going to want this enough? I'm sure he does, but he doesn't seem to be quite displaying it yet, Nick.
Yeah, you know what? I can't remember if I said that about Chris or
Oh,
John, to be honest.
actually,
But
yeah,
either
now you
way,
say about it, they're brothers. I'm sure they won't
it-
mind it.
either way, as we say it, the Hitchin name in IR UK is known for chasing the points and the top positions. Now we've got Dan Smith in the pits now, so he's just heading out the exit. I think also Trev Davis in the pits, but that might be because of Trev's previous incidents that he's had. So he's been in there for a little while by the looks of it. As we stay on board here with Chris Hitchin, fantastic livery, the Hitchin Racing livery on that BMW there. It looks brilliant, can't miss that one. And then look at Dave Lowerson ahead. So Dave Lowerson still sticking to the back of Lee Green. Sean's just told me actually, Tim, that livery is a bit of a homage to Brazil. So
I'm seeing it now.
when you look at the color scheme.
I'm seeing it now, Nick. Oh, he's flashing the lights here, and then oh no, he's off. He's into the pits. Could this be the that's him flashing the lights to say goodbye? Could this be the undercut for Chris Hitchin? He's obviously not making any progress. That gap between M Green and Lawson has been maintained about 1.5 seconds, covering them all. He's gonna would be interested to see where he comes back. We've got Neil Smith also joining the pits. Nick, it looks like it's the pit window is thoroughly slammed open. Well, pulled wide open
a little bit earlier, maybe, probably about on cue, but maybe just a tad earlier than we had at Spa. But we'll stay on board. We'll keep staying with Lee Green and Dave Lawson because it'd be really great to see where these guys end up, later on, whether they're going to dive in on the next lap, obviously as a reaction to Chris Hitchin going in. So the undercut, could it be powerful here? Chris just comes out there behind Rob Sanford and Carrick Stonehouse, isn't that?
This is not the best race for him to come out, Nick. He's got traffic ahead of him. Like you say, he's got Stonehouse in that pink Lambo. We've got Rob Sanford, who luckily, for Chris will be thinking he's a really quick driver in his Audi, so you shouldn't hold him up too much, but not the most ideal pits exit, where obviously he's come in early to try and perform that undercut.
No, not at all. Now, what I want to see is where does Lawson and Green head into the pits. Now, the thing is, when you're in a battle like these guys are, running really close together, and you see the guy behind you peel off into the pits, there he goes. Dave Lawson peels into the pits now. So I was about to say, it plays mind games with you as you follow through that entire next lap. You think, did I make the right choice staying out? Should I have stayed? Should I have gone in earlier? But Dave Lawson, a reaction to that maneuver, obviously from Chris Hitchin. Let's see where Hitchin is now going to come out. Is it going to be him ahead of Lawson? He's obviously had some traffic here. Luke is going to go into the pits. Carrick Stonehouse, the car ahead of Hitchin. Now Sanford's got in as well.
Sean Joe's in. Colin Wynn, obviously that battle. I've got to get it in, Nick. You know I love a good dad joke. That battle for the second place, it's like the Spice Girls. 3 become 1. No, what's that? 2 become 1.
There's Lawson going out.
There's Lawson head. He's on the infield. Let's see how this comes out. Hitchin's going to have the run. He's going to have the pace. But no, Lawson looks like he's managed.
He's got it ahead. He's got it ahead of Stonehouse.
Carrick Stonehouse could play a large part of the story here of what happens now. Stonehouse has got to be coming close to Stu. He has not pitted yet, so you'd imagine he's probably going to come in on the next lap. I'm just looking at the gap, Nick. It's around about 1.5 seconds between Lawson and Hitchin. So the undercut has not worked so far. But Chris Hitchin,
Carrick Stonehouse just on the outside there. He's been I think overtaken now by Hitchin, but that wasn't easy. And Hitchin's lost a lot of time there trying to get round Carrick Stonehouse. That's unfortunate, really. I think that's not where Chris would have really wanted to be. Anthony and Lee Green in there. So
the leaders are in. Anthony and Green and Armstrong in from 3rd place as well. And a nice panning out shot there of that Ferrari. And here we go. That's Anthony. He's away. He's on the exit. So
come on, let's watch
really
Dave.
Now you've got Colin Wynn. He's gone into the lead provisionally. So currently you've got your wish of win for the win as Murray Luca comes into the pit. Lawson's got Ben Brody. This is in track position. He is ahead of him. There's Lee Green. There he is on the
Go on, Dave. Go on, Dave.
Come on, here we go. Come on, Dave. You're so well supported in the comments, but you're going to have the speed coming off. Lee Green's got the inside, but here comes
Dave's
Lawson.
got the
He's
pace.
going to have to send it round the outside. No, contact! No, Dave Lawson! No!
He's kept it on.
He's managed to save it, but Lee Green... No, there's Hitchin! He's off as well!
Where's Hitchin off?
Oh, no! Oh, he's been so unlucky so far all season long, David Lawson, and it's bitten him again. Oh, Dave.
I want Dave in.
We're going to have to get a replay of that one and see exactly how that unfolded. It was all kicking off. It's kicking off in the chat as well. There's nose, left, right, and centre.
Zerkiller says
Nick,
painful.
So
Nat Sanford
for Dave
says.
Lawson.
Yeah, Nat Sanford says, oh no. Buzz Racer says no.
Oh, there we go.
On.
Chris Hitchens, he was running wide, he got nowhere to go and connected with the rear of Lawson, and I think Dave's got a bit of damage to his rear wing by the looks of things, and maybe the rear end of that Ferrari.
Look at that now.
It's unlucky.
We're still on the replay, obviously, here at the minute with Carrick Stonehouse just following Chris Hitchin, but we'll go back to the live view now, and it looks to me like Lee Green. Oh, bit of smoke there. Who's that? That's just gone off. I think somebody just gone off. Oh, that's the replay from the back of Lee Green's car, obviously, from where Dave went off.
Oh, this is unlucky for him. So unlucky. He's down in 4th place, but which I know he would take. It's Carrick Stonehouse ahead of him, who's yet to pit, so he will pick up back into that 3rd place, but so unlucky for Dave Lawson.
Let's just hope that can just keep it going now, and if he'll hopefully if obviously Carrick going into the pits, he'll be able to pick up that position.
So, Nick, we're just looking at the 1st, 2nd and 3rd position within rookie class. We've got Neil Smith in the orange BMW ahead. His brother Dan Smith in that white and black BMW. They're being followed by Sean Joe in his blue and grey Ferrari. Literally only about a second covering the top 3 in rookie class. Currently fighting his 7th, 8th and 9th overall. And just spotted somewhere off camera, Murray Lucas had a bit of an incident. We might come to that. He was battling with Josh Wilson for 14th position. So here we go. Let's see where it's riding on board with Murray Luca there and looking back. So, he's slid right. Exactly the same. Oh! Wilson had nowhere to go there. And
bit of a dent in the front wing for Wilson's car now. I'm sure a bit of T-cut, maybe enough of it you'll fill the gap in, but that's a shame between those guys. Just another one of those unfortunate accidents, and then Wilson just in the pit lane. So let's watch it from Wilson's point of view. It looks like he's come out of the pit lane here, obviously in high speed right here, and then he follows Murray Luca down the Resta Aposta into Sino Delago, and then he just turns it around. He thinks he's going to get around the inside, but because that car then just grips and then just takes that front corner, so a few dents there in the front of Josh Wilson's car, unfortunately for him. Now Dan Smith under threat here from Sean. No!
Nick, we've only got 11. Yes. We've got 11 minutes to go, Nick. We've got, obviously, we're just looking at the closest battle on track at the moment, the battle for first, second, and 3rd within rookie class. And there's still shouts in the chat. I spotted Nick just looking up for David for a podium. He is round about 3 seconds clear of Rob Hobbin. But Chris Hitchin, he's really suffered, Nick. He's down in 10th overall, 6th in class, and he's behind this battle that we're currently watching. And obviously, then Rob Sanford is currently in 4th position in class and 9th overall. So Hitch has lost out massively from that contact after initially looking at the replays. Looked like he managed to sail right past him. He's got Ben Brody right behind him in his Ferrari.
There must be some steering damage or something that he's having to be really careful to try and nurse it through the last 10 minutes. There's no point in him pitting at this point. He's just got to try and hold it together. But, there you go. There's Ben Brody behind him. And Ben Brody's not someone that we've seen, threatening with the same part. Oh, he's just past Ben Brody, I think, actually. So he's obviously just kind of hanging on at the minute with what he's got left of that BMW. As we go over to a different BMW of Dan Smith, who currently, as you just said, chasing down Neil Smith at the moment. Oh,
he's really having a go there.
Close, isn't he?
Aggressive, and Sean, we've seen he's really good and aggressive on the brakes, and that was a bit far back and a bit ambitious, even for Sean Joe, I think there. But it's allowed him to close that gap up dramatically. Only 3/10 and closing.
Proper application of the brakes, Timothy. That's what that is. He's managed
It
to close
is.
the gap, just being a bit braver than Dan was. So yeah, see what he can do into the next portion of the lap, because if he can pull something similar in the later stages of the lap, there's no reason why you couldn't be in a position to try and have that slipstream overtake into the center S's. As we were said, look at him using all of the runoff area there. He's a bit wider than Dan into that next section of the circuit as they head down on I think we might have just seen Wilson drop a couple of places possibly, so we're going to go over to that now, and here we are
It's
on
caught
board with
up to
Wilson.
that's Carrick Stonehouse, who is catching up, and I think they've just traded places maybe a little bit. And Wilson carrying a bit of front end damage there, obviously after his coming together with Luca earlier.
Not stopping him though, is it?
No, it's not. He's not hanging around, and moved around the outside for Josh Wilson there.
Well done to Josh. So we're going to go back over to Dan now. It looks like he's just managed to drop Sean now. So Sean Joe dropped back a second. So that's a lot further back than he was. He must have had a little bit of an error in that final mid-sector maybe. And then Neil Smith kind of just dancing away there in that AMD orange BMW at the front of the pack. He's wonder if Dan's just holding up Sean a little bit maybe. But the Sean Joe battle at the back not really proving to be as interesting as perhaps we thought it was going to be.
Nick, I think that should be, as we're in Brazil, that should be sambering away rather than dancing away.
Sambering away.
Yeah, it's good. We're in Brazil, you know. It's just the carnival and it's like. But yeah, it's like he's gonna. Well,
are you going to dress up in
commentator on him?
Glittery outfit and dance for me? Are you?
What? No, I don't want to. That horrible image of me in some sort of skimpy outfit and feathers into the viewers' minds on a Sunday night. I know it's bank holiday weekend,
I will say we'll lose Switch subscriptions at that rate, won't we?
Oh yeah, I think we will do. Yes, I think we will do. That's a different sort of service that gets that sort of subscription. So we've got here's Steve Olden. Someone we haven't mentioned tonight. He's got Trevor Davis behind him. Trevor a lap down on old Lucky Steve in his Mercedes. Just have a look at Murray Luca. Just seems like something's happened to his timing. He's looks like he's disappeared off the system, but we'll keep an eye on that.
It says just a out for me. Yeah, I think I can see. We've got 3 out at the moment. We've got Murray Luca, Clive Davis and Gary Truby all showing out at the moment. So whether Murray Luca's having a technical problem or whether he's actually dropped, we'll see. But there's Hitchin under threat from Ben Brody here on the inside of the S's here, at the entry to the first corner. And look at that, he's having to defend quite hard there from Ben Brody. That's a great little bit of driving from these guys. Ben's fastest lap was actually a second slower than Chris Hitchens. So the fact that Chris now doing a 134 and Ben Brody doing a 133 on the last lap, that just goes to show that Chris has obviously got a bit of a problem here. I wonder if he's fuel saving now to try and get himself to the end, obviously after maybe realizing after those errors that he's had that maybe he's not only got enough motion to get to the end if he takes it easy. But Ben Brody really putting the challenge in. Look at that, on the outside almost. Having a real good look.
Thing is, this isn't oh no, I've just spotted Lawerson's been off track somewhere off camera. Just having a look at the timing screen. It's allowed Rob Armstrong through. Let's have a look what happened. Here he goes. Oh, it's on the cross. Oh no! Dave, he's kept it in and he's taken evasive action. Oh, that's a big cut across there. He might have a slow down there, but it's allowed Armstrong just to sail past and into third place and pick him to the pick up the last spot on the podium. But that Ferrari, Nick, all night long, it's looked twitchy.
It has, yeah. We saw him in the S's. We saw him into some other corners as well, looking like all over the place. Really, that car was just dancing around, as you say, sambering around. Or I know, or is it flamencoing around? Maybe, Tim. With still 4 minutes to go, there's every chance that Lawson could close that gap. There's only 8 tenths between them. I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as you think. There's still a chance he could get back on that podium, and that's what we want to see. And look at that, Sean Joe looking really
Nick,
racy
sorry to
around
cut
the
across you,
outside.
mate. Sean Joe. He's being over. He's in a battle with Dan Smith ahead in that black and white BMW. But look who's lurking behind him. It's Rob Sanford in that red and white Audi. We know he's fast, and I think maybe with 4 minutes to go now, this battle currently for second in class and 7th overall, maybe just sitting back, just biding his time to capitalise on what could happen between Joe and Smith.
Going over to the Twitch chat, IRUK NL. Come on, David. Yeah, and I can honestly say, looking at the timing screen at the minute, there's only 7 tenths between Dave and Rob Armstrong, but we have to go look at Rob Sanford now coming up behind Sean Joe. I think Sean Joe's going to be under some serious threat here from Rob Sanford. Look at this. Go on, Sanford. Nat is going to be watching. This is going to be.
He's gone defensive. He's going to have to go around the outside, Nick. There we go. He's swung out to the outside. We know Sean Joe's good on the brakes. And he's gone defensive, just taking his line, but he's got a bad exit, and Sanford's going to have the better exit and the better drive. But look at Smith ahead. He's not managed to get away as these two have been battling, and he looks like he's going to be on the side. This is really close, Nick. Please don't be a repeat of the Lawson incident and what we had between
this
him.
Interlagos has been a bit of a graveyard, hasn't it? But look, Rob Sanford's let it go there, and Sean Joe getting through cleanly. They don't want another accident, as we've already seen in those set of corners, number 4 and 5. I think it's going to be a case of Rob Sanford trying to close it up now in the section that is Ferradura, turns 6 through 7, 8, and 9. This is an incredibly technical section where they can really close this gap, but we're going to have to go to David Lawson in a minute, I think, because there's only 8 tenths between him and Rob Armstrong. We'll just stay here with Sean Joe for a moment as he sticks to the back of Dan Smith. Rob Sanford dropping back through that technical section as they head up to Pico de Pato, and it's not quite enough at the moment for Rob Sanford, but Sean Joe still looking to try and close that gap here between him and Dan Smith. And here's Dave Lawson and Rob Armstrong with 2 minutes to go. Do you think that he's going to be able to do it, Tim? I think that's
close to the wall there, Nick.
Look at the rear wing of Dave Lawson. It's a bit buckled.
I know there's going to be a massive amount of support in the chat for Dave Lawson. See, that's everyone wants to finish on the podium, as much as we do. And just cutting back to Sean Joe, he's really, really close behind Dan Smith. Dan not managing to shake off either Joe or Sanford, although it looks like Smith's managed to get the better exit, but here comes Joe. And Neil, while this is going on, Neil Smith in the other BMW's managed to run away up the field and is 4 seconds ahead of them, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Neil's having a good run at the front. I think Dan obviously here just getting him in the way of Sean Joe. I don't think that he's playing in a game here, but never mind. That's nothing really. Dave Lawson now is 4 tenths behind Rob Armstrong with 1 minute to go. There's absolutely every chance we could get to see a move here. Can Dave tidy it up here? Imagine if Dave had a completely undamaged car. He would be absolutely flying. Now let's see if Rob Armstrong can hold it together now as he's under threat from Dave Lawson. I think there's going to be too much of a gap here probably as they go up to the center. But let's see, that Mercedes we know is slower in a straight line, but so is a Ferrari with dents in it.
Now, Nick, I think this is going to be, they're going to come on to their looking at the time, I think their final lap here. We'll just keep an eye out to for the white flag being afraid. Yeah, there we go, that's the white flag. I don't know if you caught it just up in the top left corner there. So this is it, this is what it comes down to. This is the last lap now. Have to cut across to Sanford, who's on the attack of Sean Joe. Can he run it around the outside? He can't run this time. Sean Joe brilliant on the brakes, but he's got Dan Smith ahead of him, who's really struggled. Joe's really strong through this section, but here comes Sanford. He's also strong. This Audi really quick through this first section, and now as they head down the back straight, this is what it comes down to. I think it's going to be too far ahead, which I'm trying to keep one. He's too far. Now let's go back to the battle for third place between Armstrong and Lawson. I think it's a lot of support for Dave Lowson in the chat
Come
here.
on, Dave.
I think
Yeah.
the whole world's willing you on here, Dave. You
What a
don't quite know it.
performance.
He just needs to remain tight, as just close to the back of that Mercedes for the rest of the lap. He can almost taste it. As Cy Anthony's Cy Anthony is the winner. He wins at Interlagos. Unfortunately, we won't cut to that Cy convincing win, 17 seconds. Lee Green's going to come in second, but this is where the action's at. Lawson versus Armstrong. Who can get the best run off the last corner? They come round Juncal. Here we go. The gap is closing ever so slightly. Here comes Lawson. I think he's going to be a bit too far back. Nick, he's running onto the grass. He's giving it absolute anything. And I think, yep, that's it. Armstrong's going to take it ahead. But here comes Sanford.
On the inside of
He's
Joe.
on the inside of Sean Joe. But Sean Joe's going to pick up the slipstream, but don't think he's going to get it done. He's going to be too far back, and they're both flushes. They come across the line. What a brilliant battle. Rob Sanford takes third in class. Unlucky Sean Joe.
That was amazing as a last corner moment to see. That was like watching Hamilton and Gasly running it up that last run up the final straight in 2019. Some great race from these guys. Dave Lawson, what a guy! What a race from Dave Lawson. Despite everything he went up against, he still ploughed on and held on to that podium until the very end where he had that incident. So only to finish 3/10 behind Rob Armstrong as well. He was so close to glory on this occasion with the podium, but still, regardless of all of that, what a performance from him. And it was absolutely brilliant to watch. Really enjoyed seeing Dave out there tonight.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. I mean, if we can get a replay of Rob Sanford's news at some point, that'd be brilliant. Put the post, I think. But we'll.
Right.
Nick, do you want to run us through the results for AM category?
Absolutely, Tim. I'll do that for you now. So there we go, guys and ladies and gentlemen and everybody else in the world. There is the AM results. Cy Anthony, Lee Green, Rob Armstrong are your podium, followed by David Lawson. If we had a poll for driver of the day, I'm sure he would have won it. Colin Wynn comes in fifth. We didn't cover much Colin in the second half of the race, but in the early portions, he was putting up a hell of a fight against Chris Hitchin and some of the other guys out there. Great drive from him. Chris Hitchin there in sixth. An unfortunate incident with Dave in the race earlier on put him back a few places. And then we got Josh Wilson and Carrick Stonehouse and Steve Olden, who you can see that on your screens currently crabbing along the straight. Not sure what he's been up to there. Murray Luca comes in 10th and Gary Truby in 11th for the AMs. Now we're going to go over to the rookie results in just a moment on the screen for you. I've really enjoyed the rookies, because that battle we got to see at the end was something of a rarity with the likes of, obviously, Sean Joe and Rob Sanford chasing each other super hard there. That was awesome. So at the top of the table, there's Neil Smith with 40 points. Well done to Neil for winning this evening. Then there's Dan Smith in second, followed by Rob Sanford. We love to watch Rob on track. What a great performance for him this evening. Then we've got Sean Joe, Ben Brody, Steve Hughes, Ant Franklin, Ash Wheeler, Mark Cadmore, Trevor Davis in 10th, and then Clive Davis rounds out the grid in 11th. An unfortunate result for Clive Davis. Obviously, having a great result in Spa either with the crash that he had in that race.
Yeah,
Tim, that was awesome.
I've almost nearly lost my voice from shouting so much. Obviously, lucky to Clive and Gary, only two retirees, but wow, yet again, another great night of action within GT3s on iRacing UK. Absolutely brilliant. Now, I believe we are going to be joined by Mr. David Lawson, hopefully. Let's, David, can you hear us? Maybe not. Not quite yet. A couple of technical difficulties. We'll cut back to David when we can get hold of him.
We'll try and catch him in a minute, shall we? I mean, the really great thing within all of that, Tim, was just the sportsmanship that we were seeing this evening. We saw the guys racing really hard and really close, and it was only in those most intense moments that we caught the likes, obviously, of Lawson and Hitchin having those incidents, and I think obviously Lee Green getting a little bit involved. But it for the most part, it has been incredibly clean in Interlagos, more so I think than Spa and Monza were. So that just is testament to the kind of people that we have in the community. So if you're somebody out there who's looking to get into league racing and you're intimidated by the prospect of joining a paid league with random people that you don't know, head over to www.facebook.com/iRacingUK, and it's absolutely a place to get involved in your first league with racers just like the ones that you've seen this evening. These are the Am and Rookie, these are the guys that have got less experience than the guys in the top half of the table of the GT3 League, and still you can see the racing is fierce, it's interesting, it's fun, and it's fair as well. So getting involved doesn't have to be scary, and the kind of racing that you get to see is exactly what we're going to witness here on the Sunday night streams. Now, unfortunately, we have not been able to get the interview connection for Dave Lowson. But maybe what we'll be able to do at some point is get a chat with him on one of the future streams where we'll get him in as a guest speaker to talk about his evening of racing that obviously we've witnessed here on the stream this evening, this Sunday. So, Tim, back over to you. What have we got coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Well, what have we got coming up, Nick? We have got obviously the Community League every Saturday night. That's free to enter, different each week. The winner and the runner-up from that qualifies for the Race of Champions, which is coming up in June. That will be streamed live here, obviously, as always, on the iRacing UK Twitch channel. We've also got coming up next Sunday, we return to Interlagos, sunny Brazil, where we'll see the Pro and the Pro-Am categories of GT3. The stronger drivers will support you, and it's well worth getting involved. As Nick mentioned, facebook.com/iRacingUK, and then, of course, Instagram and Twitter, search for Team IR UK. Now, Nick, a few thank yous just to round out, really. Obviously, to the drivers, as always, to everyone watching at home and the chat, and just sharing what has been an absolutely great night of racing, of so many ups and downs. Don't forget, you obviously, if you've got a free Prime subscription, or if you'd like to subscribe to the channel anyway, to utilize your Twitch Prime through Amazon, and it helps to keep the community free. Don't forget to follow so you can stay up to date with the latest streams when they go live. Also, thank you to the drivers. Thank you to TrapCams22.com for providing us with these absolutely brilliant camera angles that we've been able to view the footage on tonight. Thank you to producer Sean, who's, as always, puts together such a brilliant stream and makes everything happen and work in the background. And it just leaves us to say thank you and good night to everyone at home.
Thank you and good night.